Hey folks, it's comment answering time again, and I apologize we did not get a video out last week. We had some issues with our comment monitor getting the comments sent to me in time to shoot last week. So I had some time this morning. I'm going to do what should have been last week's video today on Monday, and then Thursday I hope to get back regular answering comments for the past week. We're just going to dive right in. This first one, this is not going to be a blind answer for me, because whenever our comment monitor saw this one, she actually called me and was like, hey, do you want to go ahead and respond to this one? And I didn't. I just thought it was funny. We don't get a lot of negative comments on the channel, which I appreciate. Particularly, it's interesting, we got more negatives whenever we first launched, and then after we got a certain number of subscribers, we quit getting a lot of negative comments. And I think that's, I'm not sure, because the content didn't really change. I think it's more that when we only had like 50 subscribers, people felt like they could be more negative, but once they see us, like, you know, we're approaching 2,500 subscribers now, we seem more legitimate, and maybe, I don't know, it's really weird. But anyway, this comment is from Lord Sogol, or Sogal, and Lord Sogol says, this is on our last Metallica video, Songwriter reacts to Metallica? Really? Next, we see veterinarian reacts to dogs, or pro racing car driver reacts to a car. Okay. And I guess, you know, I've said this before, it's hard to tell sometimes how a person intends their comments. Are they trying to take a dig at you? It seems like it to me. But anyway, I just thought this was really funny, because I know there are a lot of reaction channels out there where it's just like complete novices reacting to something they know nothing about, and that's fine. I enjoy watching those too. Matter of fact, most of the reactors I watch are in that vein, but most of the reaction channels that I see are at least semi-expert in their field, like vocal coach reacts to music, particularly in the music realm. Vocal coach reacts to music. Opera singer reacts to music, you know. So, yeah, if I wanted to know something about dogs that I didn't know, and a veterinarian's doing a video on dogs and it says, veterinarian reacts to dogs, I might check it out. I would be more likely to check out that than, I don't know, garbage man reacts to dogs, unless it's a reaction about a dog chasing a garbage man. I don't know. But so I'm not really sure where this dig is coming from, but it may just be kind of a dig on the whole genre. Like, this person has seen a lot of reaction videos and they're just like, oh, this is getting too much, too big. But anyway, I thought this was funny. Let me know in the comments, or whenever you're looking for a reaction video, do you prefer seeing somebody who knows nothing about the thing they're reacting to at all, or do you prefer somebody who's got a little bit more experience in there? All right, now on to our suggestions for this week. Charlie suggests Daughtry featuring Lizzie Hale, Separate Ways. Okay. Racing 2Cat, Cat's great viewer of the channel, says, hi Cole, thanks again for an Avi recommendation. Change is on the rise from I'll Get By album. It's fantastic. Cat, thank you, Cat, and I hope soon, maybe this week, may not be till next week, probably won't be till next week, I hope to listen to that entire record and get the whole thing up on Patreon, and then pull a couple of songs for YouTube. Music Loving Nurse says on the Golden Hour video, says please react to their Just Sing. This is going to be voice play, which was done during the height of COVID and was made as a fundraiser. Anthony debuted during that. If you do react to that, make sure your captions are on so you can see the relationships between them all and be prepared for at least one big surprise, okay? And I did have the captions on, and at some point I got out of having to turn them on before I watched the video, and I hadn't had them on recently, so I'll try to remember to do that. All right, on our answering comments from, should have been last week, but 2 weeks ago, Heather Huard, Huard, says, yes, Shooter produced Avi last record, and then they covered 4 songs off the album for the Live at Sunset Sound EP. They're all amazing. Enjoy. Looking forward to seeing these reactions. Okay, I will definitely get to those. Carol Burnett, another great viewer of the channel, says, Billy Joel was the oldies when you listen to him. Yikes. Yeah, a Piano Man was played on top 40s oldies radio. This was in the early 90s. One of the things I like about watching some reactors is seeing them discover new to them music and see how they are so impressed by the music I'm so familiar with. Avriel, evidently Avi's full first name was a Hebrew angel. Nice, I did not know that. Kind of suits his voice. Thanks for doing another of these. Thanks, Cole. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. Gail Force, also a regular viewer of the channel, says, random fact, Voice Plays Eleanor Rigby was done just after Earl left, and Ellie is double-tracked. Interesting. Interesting. Castellucci recently said that YouTube reactors are the DJs of the digital age. I think he hit the nail on the head. That's a great analogy. That's a great point. Yeah. I like that. And I think he's right. Very good. On the Golden Hour voice play video, Tomalama Z says, "Hey Cole, don't think I've ever been the first person to catch one of your reactions before. LOL. Edited to add, the original was performed, and I believe by JVKE. I also believe Jeff, wrote a verse to add to it, the last one. Yes, Anthony's voice is incredible with the guys and alone. Not sure if you recognize Kathy. Castellucci is the toy maker who made Jeff Perfect Man. Oh, yeah. I realized after I had done the video that I never said that's Kathy, but yeah, I recognize. That's why I thought it was such a great video that she ended up, her perfect man that she built was Jeff. That just made this even more sweet. This was just so beautiful and so fun to watch. You appreciate it too. Can't wait for a Valhalla calling reaction. It's wild and awesome. Yeah, I recorded the Valhalla reaction last week. It should be on Patreon. I'm recording so far ahead here. I'm not sure where I am. Maybe Patreon this week, YouTube next, or maybe a week out. I'm not sure, but it's coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Karina Rodabach, another great viewer of the channel, says, Anthony was the one who was planned to sing and hoist the color, but couldn't due to the travel restrictions. It gave us Piratical. Ellie, I like that. I like Piratical, which was a gift. Still, it's good that they finally got to do a collaboration with him. He certainly has a lovely voice. Jeff and Kathy are so sweet here. Yeah, absolutely. Pam Forrester, another great viewer of the channel, says, love this. Guess I don't get out much. Never heard this before. So glad I did. Yeah, I didn't either. Please keep the variety going. It's one of the things that set this channel apart from others. Thank you, Pam. In a positive way, appreciate the work you put in the video and commentary. Thanks so much, Pam. I always appreciate you engaging with the content. Watch the content, engage with the channel. Christine Stromberg, another great viewer of the channel, says, the original song is a bit shorter, so Jeff added the bridge section sung by Caesar, Ellie, and Anthony, whose voice is sublime. That is great to know. And that makes me wonder on the copyright element, how Jeff was able to copyright that. Just out of curiosity. It's a beautiful testimony to Jeff's wife, Kathy, the doll maker in this. We saw Anthony and just sing briefly in a few minis they've done with him. Alona Dever, another great viewer of the channel, says, I have to say that I'm not familiar with most of what VoicePlay does because I am very old. Yeah, and I don't know a lot of it either, to be honest with you, because I was raised in a retro environment. Doesn't matter. They haven't done anything I haven't loved. This one will be my favorite for a very, very long time, not because of even the usual voice play skills, but because of the last scene, that sweet smile, the Little Mermaid wave, the obvious love that Jeff and Kathy share. Wow, you will love Valhalla Calling. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, again, recorded that one last week. It was spoiler alert. It was fantastic. And yeah, the Jeff and Kathy love story in that video was just exquisite. Veronica Thunder, another great viewer of the channel, says, Jeff wrote the bridge that starts at 3:33. And I'm going to have to go back and listen to that now that I know that Jeff wrote it. Just before you stop the video, so it restarts at 4:52 and ends at 5:33. It's an excellent addition and shows that he has the lyrics writing skills as well as the music. Lane arranged this piece except for Jeff's bridge, and that's Jeff's wife, Kathy. I don't know if you recognize her from Jeff's Mock. Yeah, I did, and again, I should have actually articulated that out loud, but whenever I was commenting on how great the video was, how it ended up with her and Jeff, that was because that was his wife, but I never said, oh, it was his wife, Kathy. And I should have. VoicePlay does a lot of music that is outside of my normal preference style, but they make it so great, so I love it. Anyway, I felt the same way about this and other ones that they've done. Thank you for this one, Cole. See you in the next. Thank you, Veronica. I appreciate that. Anthony is in there just singing, but he has not collaborated with them before this. All the others in that video are collaborators. Gotcha. Ferret Mom says, this one just gives me the warm and fuzzies inside. Not just the song, but the video as well. Linda Shaw says the original artist is JVKE. Jake, okay. Got it. They got the V upside down to represent like an A without a line through it. I never heard this song before VoicePlay did it, and I went back and listened to the original, but like VoicePlay's version so much better. Anthony also had a small appearance in Just Sing. Gotcha. Valencia the Queen says the song was beautiful. Absolutely. Jillian Drysdale. Jillian, another great review of the channel. I think we already had one from, I can't remember whether we had one from Jillian or not. No, okay, I think this is the first one then. Anthony was in there Just Sing where they said they wanted to collaborate with him, and this was where they got it. They also did a couple of minis with him at the same time. Can't wait to see what you think of Panic and also Valhalla, which will blow your socks off. Yeah, Panic will be on YouTube this week. It was released to Patreon last week, and then I think Valhalla, Patreon this week, YouTube next week. Nighthorn Kavala says, of course, Jeff is her perfect man. That's why she married him. That's Kathy Castellucci, who also appears in Solo Monster Mash. Yeah, works behind the scenes in several videos. I think it's her who throws him the mop in Way Down. Yeah, that's what folks told me in the comments on Way Down. Karen Wolf says, looking forward to your next VP and Mr. G's reaction. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. Stay tuned. We're doing one a week still. Patricia Schumann says, another great reaction. I'm so excited to hear that you plan to do Trapped along with Panic Part 1 and 2. They really do work together to make one story, even though Trap serves as the first part and wasn't actually filmed until almost a year after the Panic videos were released. Yeah, the prequel thing. Thank you, Patricia. Stay tuned for those. DTA, it's another regular view of the channel, says Kathy was kind enough to reassure us that after she completed her Perfect Man, she went on to finish her other 4 projects. They all turned out perfect, too. That is great. That's hilarious. Eric Turner says Anthony was part of the a cappella group Ear Candy. There's a short clip of them singing with Bobby Bass of the Bass Gang. The Wellerman song, kind of a sea shanty showing off Bobby's subharmonics, like others have said. Anthony appeared in their fundraising video, Just Sing, which gives a history of VoicePlay with members past and present. Watch the closed captions to see who they are. Gotcha. I need to add that to the Patreon poll. Shirley Carr, another regular viewer of the channel, says Anthony has been singing since grade school. Apparently, he made several appearances on The Ellen Show. His mom is good friends with Ellie's mom. I think the VP guys consider him part of the family by now. This song was his suggestion. The first version of the video had the Patreons liking the audio but collectively scratching our heads, no pun intended. So they pivoted, revised an earlier idea, and filmed this lovely scenario with Kathy, the toy maker that explains the heads on pedestals. Interesting. All the upcoming VP videos you mentioned are excellent. Can't wait. That's also interesting that the patrons were able to turn them around and get them to do a completely different video. It's very, very interesting. Ellen Reiser, Ellen, great patron of the channel, also a great subscriber of the channel, also one of our patrons, says, I love everything VoicePlay does, but I have to admit this song isn't my taste. Anthony is extremely talented. I'm sure he will have a great career, but I don't like watching him sing. I can't tell you why. Maybe he reminds me of someone from my past. No insult meant for Anthony. It's just me. This is good. Probably won't make my playlist. Yeah, I totally get it, Ellen. Again, this is kind of outside my genre, too. I did like it. For me, this isn't going to be like a regular rotation VoicePlay either. And yeah, sometimes we have strange subjective reactions to things. We have no idea why. There's got to be some reason, but we just don't know why. It's just our reaction to certain things. Pam Forrester, Pam once again says, I'm the same as not being a traditional metal fan. This is on the Metallica Fade to Black video, but always like Metallica. This reminds me why they were so much fun. I think they were old souls screaming to get turned loose. I like that. Very, very good, Pam. They morphed into whatever worked for a particular song. Thanks for the video and commentary. Thank you, Pam. Racing 2 Cat. Cat again says, I can't help if wondering about your aversion to heavy metal. I'm thinking it's because you immediately associate metal with non-melodic noise and unintelligible screaming over the top of it. That is certainly an apt description of a lot of metal and some Metallica, but on the whole, Metallica stuff is impressively melodic in both guitars and voice. Glad you took a chance on this and hope you'll brave some more. Cat. Absolutely, Cat. I'm definitely going to dive in. For me, I definitely don't like the screaming stuff and the non-melodic stuff. It's not me at all. But even beyond that, like there's even some hard rock stuff that's not metal that just doesn't appeal to me. I'm a really big soft rock is my favorite, and I wasn't really raised in a hard rock environment. I was raised in a softer music environment. And it's funny because there's people in my family that CCR, Born on the Bayou, that was hard rock. That was like heavy metal for them. And I remember the first time I heard some of John Fogerty's Swamp Rock stuff, like that was some of the heaviest stuff I had ever listened to at the time. And I've just never been really a heavy, hard rock guy. And there are some exceptions to that, like I like Guns N' Roses on the whole, but really more of their commercial stuff. Like I've heard some album cuts that's just way too much for me. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's just because I wasn't raised with it, and it didn't strike me as I was kind of going through the history of rock and exploring other genres. Carol Burnett says, like you, I've avoided metal in general because I don't like the screaming and dissonance. However, I'm discovering that sometimes the label of metal simply means hard rock, which I have a great affinity for. Thanks, Cole. Yeah, that's I just kind of touched on some of that too. And even though I definitely prefer harder rock more than I do straight up metal. And to me, what some of the stuff that I've heard from Metallica here is more what I would classify as hard rock and not what I've known as metal, or what I've had in my mind as metal. Penguin 82875 says James Hetfield vocals, rhythm guitar, Kirk Hammett lead guitar, Lars Ulrich drums. Bassist for this song is Cliff Burton, who tragically died in a tour bus accident in 1986. Wow, that's terrible. He was replaced by Jason Newsted until 2000. Currently, their bassist is Robert Trujillo, I'm going to say, or maybe Hilo if it's the L from the Spanish L-A-B, Hio. Thank you for that information. I don't know if y'all can see the cat. Yeah, there's Mycroft the cat. Hope he doesn't stomp all over the keyboard and turn my computer off and close my Word document like he did last time. Unfading Evie Live says, have you not heard this song, LOL? I know, again, I'm just not a huge Metallica guy. I haven't been a huge metal guy, not really big into harder rock. And this probably actually played on the radio, and I changed the station, to be honest with you, at some point whenever I was a teenager, young adult. And I've talked about that with I did the same thing with Bruce Springsteen. It just didn't strike me, so I would just change the station. But this was great, and I'm definitely going to be checking out some more Metallica. On Voice Play Road Trip Chicken Song, Jonadab the Unsightly One says, this is pre-sing-off. Maybe the worst of the several problems they had on the show with this sort of thing was how they thought of themselves as a group back then and how they engaged their theatrical side. And when they went on the show, they didn't know how to take stuff like this and turn it into the 3-4 minute pop songs that the show producers seemed to want. Interesting. So they ended up mostly not doing much on the show with their creative theatrical background. At one point, the show handed them the category movie song on a silver platter, and instead of doing anything they might do with that category today, so many possibilities. Pop, dubstep version of Four Unfortunate Souls, rock metal version of Star Wars theme, J-pop version of Lonely Goatherd. They just picked a random song that was used in a random movie that wasn't even really noted for its music and did an acapella version of it, and it was the most forgettable thing ever. Sad. On the plus side, being on the show exposed them to a lot of fun and creative people, and afterwards they recovered nicely and got onto YouTube, and at some point did their version of Phantom of the Opera, which is amazing, and eventually led to the kinds of stuff they do now. That is a fantastic walkthrough of the history of voice play, and very insightful comment. Thank you so much, John Dale. It's one of the best comments I think we've gotten on the channel, and that's not a mark against all the other wonderful people who've commented on the channel. That was particularly well put. Very succinct, too. On the Marcelita Pomoy, the prayer video, Assunta Lorenzo said, indeed, God's gift of talent. Imagine no voice and vocal training. Thank you for nice reaction. Thank you, Assunta. I appreciate that. And yeah, absolutely agree with you 100%. On Avi, 4:15, Carolina Kuchakovic says, I'm so happy to hear people reacting to Avi's music. He is so talented. I just found his music a couple months ago, and I can't believe how great it is. Thank you, and I hope you keep reacting to his music. There is a lot. Thank you, Carolina, and I intend to. It may be a bit before it can get up on YouTube. Patreon, we're a little bit more flexible on Patreon. We can release things pretty much fairly quickly after we film it, and I try to get those up before we put it on YouTube, but the YouTube stuff right now is taking about 30 days to clear in some cases. On the Chris Stapleton Starting Over video, Valencia the Queen says, love lyrics of this song and his voice. Pam Forrester says, love Chris in this song. He refuses to be defined, doesn't he? Yes, that's absolutely correct. For sure, his voice is smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Yes, once again, I agree with you on the lyrics. Loving the variety you react to. Thank you. Thank you, as always, Pam. Julie Ann Poole says, written with Mike Henderson from his old bluegrass band. Okay, that would be Steel Drivers. Is that the right name? Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Or is it something Steel Drivers? I can't remember. I need to get into that group too, because I only heard a couple of songs, but I really liked them. They wrote most of the Steel. Oh, there it is, right there, Steel Drivers. So just kept reading the comment. Songs also Broken Halos. Chris described Mike as an underrated poet. Love Where Rainbows Never Die. Yes, that was his wife. Thank you for that information, Julianne. I appreciate that. Oh, an old video. The Jeff Ain't No Sunshine. Christina Dowdican says, Big Bad John, High and Dry, Take Me Home, Country Roads, Ghost Riders are just a few of my choices. For his lighter side, check out Saddle Up and Bare Necessities. Love your reactions. Have become a sub because of them. And no fake, exaggerated faces. Just clean, honest expressions. Thank you, Christina. I appreciate that. Yeah. And every now and then, when you do see an exaggerated expression, it's not an exaggeration. That's just how I feel in that moment. If you do see like a jaw drop or something, that's not me acting, I assure you. But it also, I've actually checked out Ghost Riders in the Sky and Bare Necessities, and I, of course, hope to get to those other ones soon. On Home Free Unchained Melody, Barbara, and that's an old one that we just got back up on YouTube, says, this has been a favorite song for years, and Home Free just makes it better. 100%. Thank y'all for the comments. Again, I hope to have the regular Thursday comment video up this week, and we'll get back on schedule, and that'll cover the videos from the last week. I think our comment monitor may have actually come over here and put some from last week on here. So we may not have a lot Thursday, but thank y'all for tuning in. I'm sure most of the people watching this are my regular subscribers, but if not, please consider subscribing to the channel and supporting us on Patreon, and we will see you soon.